Hi, MULN family. I hope everybody's having a wonderful weekend. I just wanted to give you an update because we got a filing talking about a shareholders meeting to vote on the reverse split. So let's talk about that as well as an update regarding short interest. And let's take a look at what's happening this week. Guys, let's get started. Thank you so much for watching. If you could smash that like button for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. I do put out a free morning watch list every single morning with stocks that I think are going to make moves throughout the day. Okay, guys, so let me start by saying the reason I thought to look for this is because I was just searching over the weekend and saw a lot of FUD on stock twits talking like the reverse split is imminent. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like literally some of these comments I was reading would make you think that it's happening next week. Guys, it may not happen at all, but obviously we need to vote on a reverse split in case the share price does not get above $1, because the worst thing that could happen would be we got delisted and sent to OTC land, and nobody wants that. So David Mitchery sent in a filing announcing that MULN Automotive is going to be having a special meeting of the stockholders held on December 23rd, 2022. And there's going to be 5 things that we're going to vote on. 2 of them really don't make a difference to most shareholders. One of them makes a difference to nobody. But a couple of them kind of are important. So especially number 1. Let's start with that. So the proposal is an amendment to the company's second amended and restated certificate of incorporation. The amendment will not be filed prior to the latter of March 6th, 2023, and 180 days after such date, which later date depends on whether NASDAQ Stock Market LLC grants the company an additional 180 days extension to regain compliance with NASDAQ listing rules. So let me stop right there for 1 minute. It sounds to me like David does not want to do a reverse split, and that ultimately he is going to request that the NASDAQ extend this for 180 days if we do not regain compliance prior to March 6, 2023. Guys, I don't think there'll be any problem getting an extension, especially given market conditions, if we need it. Hopefully the share price naturally gets above $1 prior to that, and then none of this really matters. However, this needs to be in effect in case there is an issue. So this was to be expected, and, it is what it is, guys. There's nothing we can do about it. But obviously, compliance is the number 1 in order to keep this stock listed. So it says to effect a reverse stock split of our outstanding shares of common stock in an amount not less than 1 for 2. So basically that would just be for every 2 shares you would get 1, but not more than 1 for 25. Guys, personally, my opinion, which a lot of people probably don't like, is I think the higher the better because it decreases the number of shares. However, I can see a valid point for both, but we don't want them to also have the ability to tank this right back below $1 if you go to a lower level should this need to happen. But with the exact ratio to be set within the range at the discretion of our board of directors regarding the reverse stock split. Provided, however, that the company will not, I repeat, will not file such amendment before May 1st, 2023 to effect the reverse stock split unless needed in order to maintain continued inclusion in the Russell 2000, which requires a minimum stock price of $1. So guys, I did mention this in my previous video that I thought that the Russell would be a consideration because of course they want their stock to be continued listing in that. Now, notwithstanding the foregoing, if proposal number 2 is not approved at the special meeting, then the board of directors may effectuate the reverse stock split at any time and at such time and date, if at all, as determined by the board of directors, but no later than December 1st, 2023, when the authority granted in this proposal to implement the reverse stock split would determine. All right, guys, so this part I didn't like very much because it felt like they were forcing you to vote yes on number 2. And number 2 is what obviously most people are probably going to have the biggest problem with. So again, it looks to me like number 1, yes, we have to vote on the reverse stock split. Again, it looks like the filing previously, and you can go back and watch my video on it. This is just, a technicality, guys, because what David did was essentially give himself the power to affect this anyways, but it still needs to be voted on, and obviously he has the majority voting right on this. So it's going to go through, in my opinion, which will probably make number 2 go through as well, which is an amendment to the company's second amendment and restated certificate of incorporation to increase the aggregate number of shares of common stock. So they want to increase the number of shares of common stock from 1,750,000,000 to 5 billion. Guys, this is a substantial increase. Please leave me a comment below what your thoughts are on that. I mean, I have multiple thoughts on it, and I just hope to God that once we become profitable, that they start doing some share buyback. Now, I also want you to go and look at Tesla and see how many shares there are of Tesla, okay? Because it is not uncommon that when these companies are starting out, they need to get funds and issue shares. So that's my little side note on that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. Number 3 is just to change the state of incorporation from Delaware to Maryland. And I'm not really sure why they're doing that, but I'm guessing there's some rule in Delaware that they probably don't like, which is why they're trying to change it. If anybody does know specifically, please let me know. I'd appreciate that. Number 4 is a proposal to approve, for the purpose of complying with NASDAQ, an amendment to security purchase agreement to provide for the issuance of $150 million in notes and up to $190 million in additional shares of Series D preferred stock, each convertible into shares of common stock and warrants. Now, guys, I believe that they already did this in that last filing where they got the money for the Elms acquisition. So this is just late, and I think they're doing it to comply with the NASDAQ. So kind of odd, but okay. If it's not, I could be wrong. Maybe it's something else, but this seems to be triggering in my head that this is exactly those notes that were already issued that we talked about the other day in my last video. Anyways, but for some reason we need to vote on them, and I think that's so that they can convert the notes of the Series D preferred stock at the exercise and exercise the warrants. Again, if somebody feels it's something else, please let me know, because I am just going on what I know and what I recall from filings that I previously read. Now, proposal number 5 doesn't matter to anyone. That's just the adjournment. Obviously, they're going to adjourn. And then, just so that you guys know, it says the board of directors has fixed the close of business on November 21st, 2022 as the record date for the special meeting, and only holders of shares of record at that time will be entitled to notice of and to vote at the special meeting of any adjournment or adjournment thereof. A list of stockholders will be available at our offices at 1405 Pioneer Street, Brea, California, 92821 for a period of at least 10 days prior to the special meeting, and will also be available at the special meeting. Now, important notice regarding the availability of proxy materials for the special stockholders meeting to be held December 23rd. And this just says that your vote is very important, whether you plan to attend the virtual meeting or not. They hope that you will vote as soon as possible. You can vote prior to the special meeting over the internet, by telephone, or by mailing the enclosed proxy card, which, guys, unless they send out a proxy card to you, which very few times I've actually seen one, I would expect to be doing this through your brokerage. You should be able to access that on your computer. Now, voting over the internet, by telephone, or by written proxy will ensure your representation at the special meeting regardless of whether or not you attend virtually. Please review the instructions in the proxy materials you receive. All right, guys. So bottom line is the most important takeaways from this is obviously we need to vote on the reverse stock split. And guys, it's essential. I mean, it doesn't really matter what we vote because that filing that I discussed previously with you that David had put out enables him to, remember the $25,000 that he paid, that enables him to be able to get majority voting power in this and then gets that $25,000 back afterwards, right before Christmas. So anyways, I find that funny, but it is what it is. So it's going to go through, but it looks like he does not want to use it according to this unless it's absolutely necessary, which I like to see. So that I feel positive about. As far as the increase in the number of shares, he's essentially trying to 2.5x it. So why does he need so many shares? It seems like quite a bit more, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, but would love it if we got more information. Now let's take a look at NASDAQ. Oh, and guys, real quick, we are trending still under most active tickers. We are number 4 this weekend on StockTwits. So hopefully we see some price movement to the upside. Short interest is getting insane. Right now we're at 33.87% short with 0.58 days to cover. And there is 1,200,000 shares still available to short. Cost to borrow is next to nothing, 5%. And the short volume ratio continues to be very, very high. It's insane. It's between 28.74 and 58.38% in the past 2 weeks. And on Friday was at 53.29% on that short day, guys. They are doing whatever they can to drive this price down and trying to get people to get frustrated and sell out so they can scoop up your shares cheap, in my opinion. Failure to delivers, unfortunately, don't really come into play this week. However, maybe next week, but there's still enough to cover them with the shares available to borrow. So essentially, not quite sure we're going to see any action from this week, but I do notice that they are starting to pile up again. So we'll keep an eye out for that, see what happens. You know, it did have days where there was 24, 25. No, didn't actually. So it did the week prior, maybe. It did the first week. Yes, it had days where there were none, but then towards the end of the month of October, we don't have any days with none. So we may actually see the 600 or 577,679 need to get covered, guys, soon. But anyways, for now, this is not really important because it's not going to help or hurt us. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. And if this is new information to you, I hope that you understand it and I did a good job explaining it. If I did or didn't, you can also comment below so that if you comment that I didn't, tell me how I can do it better so I can make you guys understand, because that's my goal here. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.